It's been a while since you felt the same excitement as before. Nothing explodes inside you. Nothing makes your heart race, and that makes you think maybe you're going in the wrong direction. But what if the problem isn't the lack of emotion, but rather the fact that you've associated truth with intensity? If you've reached this video, it wasn't by chance. Maybe it's time to understand why sometimes the right path doesn't excite it calm. Most people have been taught to recognize direction by emotional peaks, excitement, adrenaline, urgency, but this creates a silent error, confusing alignment with excitement. After major transitions, the internal system doesn't seek stimulation. It seeks emotional stability, and when that appears, the ego finds it strange. This is where many backtrack, just when they were going the right way. When something is truly aligned, it doesn't invade you, it fits. You don't feel explosion, you feel an absence of conflict. And because we've been trained to seek intensity, this state seems boring. But calmness isn't a lack of life, it's life without noise. And this is where almost everyone misinterprets it. Excitement usually comes from novelty, risk, and the unpredictable. Alignment comes from silent recognition. This makes sense. That doesn't need defending. If you need to convince yourself all the time, it's probably excitement, not truth. The difference appears in the body, not in the speech. Observe your nervous system. When the direction is wrong, there's tension disguised as enthusiasm. When it's right, there's relaxation mixed with respect. It's not ecstasy, it's firmness. And firmness rarely shouts. Many people abandon established paths because they don't feed the ego. They don't generate immediate applause. They don't create instant identity. But what is true doesn't need to prove anything, and that scares those who live for validation. The relief you feel isn't boredom, it's coherence. It's the end of the inner struggle, but without conflict, the ego asks, where's the emotion? As if peace were a flaw. Excitement speeds up time, alignment slows it down. That's why it seems strange at first. You feel less urgency, less need to announce, less rush to decide everything. And that's a sign of maturity, not stagnation. When something is true, you don't need to run from it, nor do you need to cling to it. It remains silent, constancy. What is true doesn't beg for attention. Notice, excitement comes in waves. Alignment remains. If something comes back repeatedly, without drama, without anxiety, without pressure, that deserves to be listened to. The most common mistake at this stage is trying to feel more to validate the choice. But feeling more isn't feeling better. Sometimes it's just fear disguised as intensity, and the body knows this before the mind. Calmness doesn't mean absence of passion. It means passion without disorganization. You don't waste energy trying to sustain the choice. It sustains itself, and that changes everything. If you have to force yourself to believe, it's not alignment. If you can breathe into the idea, it probably is. Breath is an accurate thermometer. The problem is that calmness doesn't make for dramatic stories. It doesn't impress. It doesn't yield lengthy explanations. But it does deliver continuity, and continuity beats intensity in the long run. You can still feel fear. Fear of becoming complacent. But don't confuse the absence of chaos with a lack of ambition. Mature ambition is silent. Alignment doesn't pull you out of yourself. It brings you back in. That's why it seems too simple. The ego prefers the complicated. If something calms you down, but also calls you to responsibility, attention, that's rare, and it's almost always true. Excitement demands an answer now. Alignment accepts waiting. If you can avoid deciding today without anxiety, that's a sign of inner security. What is right doesn't need to be defended all the time. It doesn't go to war with its doubts. It simply remains like something that knows its place. Perhaps you're waiting to feel something that's no longer part of your current phase. And that's not a loss. It's evil. Not every flame needs to burn brightly. When the path is right, you feel less like running away and less like trying, just like continuing. The peace you feel is not the end of the journey. It's the firm ground before the next step. And firm ground makes no noise. Don't abandon something just because it doesn't excite you. Ask if it helps you stay organized. That's the right question. What is aligned doesn't drain your energy afterward. Even when tired, you don't feel betrayed by yourself, and that's a profound sign. Maybe you're not demotivated. Maybe you're finally on track, and that changes the way you move forward. The next step won't come with fireworks. It will come with quiet clarity, and you will recognize it. If something calms you, respects you, and doesn't demand constant performance, don't discard it. It might be exactly what you were looking for. You haven't lost intensity. You've emerged from the chaos. True alignment doesn't compete with the noise of the world. It builds something that lasts. If today the path seems to calm, perhaps it's because, for the first time, it's not fighting against you. If this made sense. Don't try to rush anything. Stay where there is calm and coherence. The right movement sustains itself. Comment. I choose what organizes me. Sign up to continue this journey with clarity, energy, and awareness.